Hey guys, Chris here. First video, first real video anyway, and tonight I'm going to tell you about the game that changed the way I feel about how stories are told through video games. Um, so up until this point, I had been playing stuff like Nintendo 64, Mario 64, WrestleMania 2000, WCW Nitro, WWF No Mercy, Nightmare Creatures, Shadow Man, stuff like that. But there was no real story to those games. There was nothing under the surface. It was just what you see is what you get. And I guess I didn't really know there was anything different than that. But the PlayStation 1 had just come out, and it was summertime. So I was picking strawberries because in the town I live in, there's a lot of berries in the summer that are picked commercially, and it's a great way for kids to make money for back to school. It was a great way for me to make money for video games. So I was saving my strawberry money for a couple of weeks until I had enough saved up for my console, and what I hoped was probably enough for a good game. I talked to my grandfather, who took me into the local game shop to see if they hopefully still had a PlayStation in, because I think they were selling like hotcakes still at the time. Luckily, the guy had a PlayStation in. I picked up the PlayStation. I had no idea what PlayStation had for games. I had zero clue. For all I know, I could have went in and asked for a Mario game. I do know that he recommended to me Final Fantasy VII. I don't know if it's because he'd played it and he knew how amazing in the game it was, or if it was just because it was the most expensive title he had in his case. Regardless, I bought the Final Fantasy VII game, I bought the PlayStation 1 and a memory card, I took them home, and that day, probably within the first hour, the way I looked at storytelling through video games had already been completely changed, and it's been changed ever since. Final Fantasy VII was the best storytelling game I've ever played, and I never played anything anywhere near that up until The Last of Us. Sorry, The Last of Us, the story, and that really blew me away too. But yeah. So the game that really changed the way I felt about how stories were told through video games, Final Fantasy VII. After that, went on to play Final Fantasy 8, 9, 10, 10-2, maybe? Most of 11, Final Fantasy Tactics. They're just all incredible games. I wish I'd gone back and played 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, but it's hard to go back and play stuff like that. The graphics have gotten so incredible that it's hard to go back and play the 8-bit games now. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in, you guys. I really hope you liked the video. If you have any more suggestions, put them down in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this video down there in that box. And if you liked it, hit the like button, thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit the didn't like button, thumbs down. And if you really liked it, hit subscribe and the notification bell to let you know whenever I put up a new video. Thanks, guys. I'll see you again in a couple of days. Bye.